Stirring the coffee with chopsticks using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee. At the molecular level, good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, Peruvian coffee made in a French press. Nice. Nice. What is your favorite kind of coffee? And I'm not talking about flavored coffee. I'm talking about a country of origin, which the elevation, the soil, the climate has an effect on the way the coffee plant grows. What is your favorite coffee country of origin? Put your answer down below. I'd love to see that. Well, good Thursday morning to you. It's a great day today. It really is. Think about this. When I think about my message, my mission, my ministry to men, and don't forget, when you help men, you're helping women and you're helping children. So to be pro-men is to be pro-women and children, okay? It's not that they are the walking wounded. They're a walking wound. Everywhere in their life is ouch, ouch, ouch. Their opinions, their worldview, the lens that they see the world through is a big, giant wound. And everywhere that you appeal to them hurts. So, don't be mad at them when they are cynical. Don't be mad at them. And I've struggled with that myself, being mad at the hardcore red-pilled guys, the MGTOW guys, the black-pilled guys, the guys who just gave up on relationships. I know it hurts. I've been there. I've been there. I've sat in dark rooms and cried and then wiped my tears and put on a happy face and acted like nothing happened. That's a hard way to live. And then now with social media, you got to realize when I was first divorced, there was no social media, not like there is now. But the interesting thing is this, is that people bleed online. There's entire forums dedicated to your pain, which really is cynicism. Think about it, and anger. That's really what it is, if you're honest. To be pro-men is to be pro-women and children. And I know what a man's heart needs, because I'm a man and I know what my heart needs, and that's community. That's the touch of the opposite sex. Especially now, think about this. If the opposite sex has caused you pain, you're like that dog in the shelter that's crouching in the corner. When you go to reach out to it, it goes, you know, you've seen that, those dogs that have been hurt and abused. Not too far from me, there's SPCA shelter. And I will just go in there and talk to the animals sometimes. And I know some of them have been abused. Oh, there's my good boy. How are you? Are you having a good day today? Daddy's good boy? Speaking of animals. And some people are in that reactive mode. I like to consider myself some people are the dog whisperer. I want to be the pain whisperer. And that's hard. And you get ridiculed for being that way, because when you tell people you don't have to live that way, man, you can be a lightning rod. You can. But give it time. Feed yourself the right people. Don't let people feed your pain. Look for people that heal your pain, not cold, hard truth. You know what the cold, hard truth is? It's like punching a man who's already down. Anyone who claims to have cold, hard truth is actually a stone cold prick. I know Scripture talks about wrapping the truth in love. And that's delivering truth in a way that's compassionate, not pounding them with the truth. That's where the unregenerate mind and heart fail miserably, is when you think you need to pound the truth into people. Truth is something that is offered, not force-fed. The wounded man's existence is one big giant reaction to the crap that they experienced, except that they've chosen not to reset, reboot, or grasp the fresh start that life hands to them every day on a silver platter, every single day. It's a choice. Every single day. And when you listen to a panel of men on YouTube with like 6 or 8 guys all talking about their maladaptive reaction to pain, you feel it. I said to somebody on the open forum the other night, how do you feel after you watch certain content creators? Do you feel like you need to take a shower? Do you feel like crap? How do you feel? I don't want you to feel bad. I want you to feel challenged. But I want to give you hope. I know in my graduate school training, everything was all about giving hope. Everything. I had one professor at Westminster, Wayne Mack. He used to say, gather data and give hope. Gather data and give hope. And when in doubt, gather data. And that has guided me, literally, I'm trying to think now, for 35 years. 35 years. Successfully guided me for 35 years. Life hands you a new opportunity every single day. Every day. I don't care who you are. I know there's a guy out there that within the past week, your wife told you that she wants a divorce. I know that. I know that. I'm not a mind reader, but just the probability mathematically. There's someone watching right now where you were told that it's over. That's hard. That's tough to deal with. And how you deal with it is really the result of how you were raised, the mindset you have, how resilient you are, how you may have trained yourself. If you're the kind of guy that said, I don't know what I would do without her, guess what? When she's gone, you won't know what to do without her. It's hard. I know it is. Been there. Confirmation bias. But I don't want to be the I've been there guy. My main qualification is the thousands of people that I've helped by giving them hope. I flailed around like a fish on a dock when I went through what I went through years ago. And you can recover from it. You are alive. You will survive. You've heard me say in the past, first, do no harm. Second, do only good. But you compound your pain by making bad choices and hanging out with the wrong people and joining a community of negativity and bitterness. Right now, I am being so counterculture by writing this book called Open to Marriage. There are people who will hate me for that. Jim Rohn says, the man who halfway through his day can still feel his wife's kiss and embrace will be invincible. Nothing can stop him. It's one of my favorite sales trainers and motivational speakers. Conversely, the man who halfway through his day can't feel his wife's kiss and embrace will be vulnerable, and anything can stop him. It's pretty idealistic, isn't it? But I'm not going to ignore the fact that there's nothing like a kiss and a hug or a quickie from your wife before you go to work. And having a love life that just goes beyond this and this, okay? But when that is removed from you and it's not your choice, it hurts and you become vulnerable. So, what do? Gentlemen, I don't want you to be vulnerable. The whole concept of you need to be vulnerable, that's BS. You need to be strong. Enjoy the perks of the kiss and the hug and the loving. Enjoy them. Rejoice. I know Scripture says, rejoice in your wife's breast. Let them give you pleasure and be intoxicated in her love. That's what Jim Rohn was saying. So why are we looking at other men's, women's breasts, or strange women's breasts, to kill the pain. I would ask you, if you're in pain, and I speak from experience, I would like you to have a sexual fast. A sexual fast. I was talking to a friend of mine last night, Robert, who's a pastor of a church in Lancaster. Good friend. I'll introduce you to him sometime. And we were talking about orthodoxy, and I said, Robert, you should become an Orthodox priest. There's a seminary not far from you. And I know he's scratching his head, and I know he's watching this right now. And I sent him some good videos about that. But think about a sexual fast. Oh, he pointed out to me. He says, George, I know something happened to you. And I've known Robert for many years. We met when we both worked at a rehab. I believe he was like an intake counselor, and I was a therapist counselor at this rehab, drug and alcohol rehab. This is many years ago. This was 1995. That's exactly when it was. That's when I met Robert. Same age as me, into motorcycles, been through divorce, the court system. You know the script. And he said, I knew something has changed in you. He says, I was watching one of the Daybreak shows, and you said that you're not going to have sex until you're married again. Because I knew something flipped a switch inside of you. Now think about this. If that's the case, which it is, I am remaining sexually not active until I get married. But I'm not using it as a driver. If I don't get married, then the Lord will help me with my sex drive, so to speak. But I'm not driven by my hormones. You heard me talk about when you're younger, your male sexuality is like a gorilla in a cage, trying to get out of that cage. I compared it to a gorilla in a vehicle, in your vehicle, and the gorilla is in the driver's seat and stepping on the gas and driving wild and taking you places that only the gorilla would take you to. And that's what happens when you're a young man. I'd say up till about 35 or 40. In your 40s, the gorilla is in the passenger seat. By the time you hit your 50s and 60s, the gorilla is in the back seat, making suggestions. Can't even reach the steering wheel or the gas pedal. And that's every man's struggle, is that you're driven by this and not by this or this. So when you start to feel released from the gorilla, you have clarity. Your thinking isn't cloudy. You don't actually have that sexual, emotional, and I say that as almost like one word, the sexual emotional. You don't have that vulnerability anymore, and you almost become bulletproof. Now, becoming sexually, emotionally bulletproof can happen with time, or it can happen with your choice. Do you want to wait till you're in your 60s for all of that to kind of calm down? Can you imagine where sex is a choice and not a compulsion? That's a beautiful place to be in life. It really is. It's better to say, I want to get laid than I have to get laid. Does that make sense to some of you? But think about the sexual emotional compulsion that you have in your life right now. It's a gorilla that's at the steering wheel, guiding your life. You've heard your uncle, your father, your buddies say, you're thinking with the wrong head. Kind of a crude way to put it. But many times that shock value crudeness is the quickest way to truth. I like to say, think with your head and not the bed. So Robert said, I heard you say you're not going to have sex until you get married. That's true. And if I don't get married, that means no sex. And I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it at all, not even a little bit. And that's a choice. That's not because of my age. I don't have any deficiencies. I am a sexual being. You are a sexual being. Do you eat everything? Can you go to an all-you-can-eat buffet and only have one plate? No. You go back for seconds and thirds and dessert. Sexuality is like that. And then what happens at the buffet? Towards the end of the meal, you sit back in your chair. You undo one button, one notch on your belt. And you're like, oh, guess what? I can predict what you said. I think I ate too much. Sexuality is the same way. Do you enjoy sex as a meal, so to speak, to feed your soul, because that's what it's designed for, and to reproduce? When you're no longer reproducing or having babies. I've always said this too, that God didn't have to make sex feel good. It could have been, we could have got some golden tablets from the sky that said insert A into B and 9 months later a baby will be born. But he incentivized it. That drive that you have is God-given. And what is that for? You pervert it when you make it only about pleasure. The drive is so people can reproduce. He incentivized reproduction. Rather than spreading your seed all over different women, why not save it? Save it. It's precious. You cheapen it every time you turn your bedroom into a crime scene. And ladies, to have a man's seed sprayed on you, in you, ingested, that cheapens you as a beautiful, fertile field that's waiting for the perfect seed to come along so you can build something beautiful. That's why I tell men all the time, look for someone who wants to build. The number one thing you should vet a woman for is look for a woman who wants to build. Try that on your dating site profile. Looking for someone who wants to build. Sadly, men will find women that had their fun, and then want to build. And what you're not getting, men, is a woman who has had the discipline to focus on building. There's something very defective about people who had their fun and then want to settle down. And I believe that's the cause of a lot of divorces. The pairing ability is impaired. They just can't do it. They can't do it. Emotionally, they can't do it. When you realize that, men, remember the first time that you heard women have a stronger sex drive than you and that they're more, what's the word? Women can be wilder than men would ever be because they can be. Because they can be. And if you're an average man, sex doesn't come easy. If you are a below sexually valued man, sex may not come at all. A woman, no matter who she is, no matter what she is, sex is always available. Always available. So there's a difference in the psyches. When women say to me, well, what about men? What about, there is no dynamic equivalent. You can't just flip-flop male and female. When I talk, you can't just say, yeah, but men do the same thing. No, they don't. They can't. They're biologically and psychologically and emotionally different than you. Men and women are different. So they respond to sex different. They respond to promiscuity different. I said, I tweeted this a long time ago, which of course I'm banned from Twitter, but not for this. I forget, I probably said something about, well, I don't even want to say it now because it'll hurt me here. I remember saying something like, you meet a girl and she gives great oral sex. That's the good news, but that's also the bad news. How did she get good? It wasn't practicing on you. You know what I'm saying? There's kind of like the dark side to all the good things. In Bizarro World, that is. In the same way, that Jim Rohn says, the man who halfway through his day can still feel his wife's kiss and embrace will be invincible. Nothing can stop him. A man who doesn't feel his wife's embrace or the embrace of a woman will feel very vulnerable, and everything can stop him. So what do you do about that? What do you do about that? What do you do about the absence of a woman? Number one, your world should not revolve around women. A woman is not the sun that all the planets revolve around. If you're a round earther. Just kidding. Little private joke there for some. The bears know what I'm talking about there. But if your world revolves around a woman, if the world revolves around you getting laid, take my word for it, then that means your world revolves around women. And you are still very vulnerable. Very vulnerable. Even though you're on YouTube yapping away about your sexual conquests and teaching men about sexuality. Come on, man. When I see a panel of 6 guys talking about women, all I see is 6 hurt men. 6 hurt men. Anger comes from pain. Always did, always will. That's nothing new. So, if your world revolves around sex and women, you're making yourself vulnerable to be hurt and or cynical. So we go, like for instance, in the men's community, when you look at men who are helping other men, and you see a group of guys on YouTube talking about it, and dating coaches and all this kind of stuff, there's anger, cynicism, hurt, and the hubris, the arrogance that literally defends and justifies the cynicism, the pain and hurt, and the anger all the time. You never see anyone humbly talking about females on those channels. What happens is you get done watching them and you end up, for instance, you become like the people that you watch, the information, the data that you take in. So if you watch people that are hurt, cynical, angry, guess what's going to happen? Eventually, you become like what you ingest. You are not only what you eat, but you are what you absorb in. Cynical, angry, hurt, in pain. And imagine how much energy you have to, it's like when you say to somebody, man, you're dealing with some anger, and they go, oh, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. They just proved right there that they're angry. Okay? Their response is an angry response. Nothing rational about it. Or it's not rational for long. Men, your world does not revolve around women or sex. When you stop doing that, you become free. And then women and sex become so much more enjoyable when in the proper context. You are a complex being. You do have a facet that is sexual/emotional. That's together, sexual, emotional. You heard me say that. When you get involved in expressing your sexuality over and over and over, it just becomes sexuality. And the emotions have nothing to do with it. And you deaden that part of your body, your brain, your psyche. Then you're emotionless. Then you're just a physical being that wants 7 seconds of pleasure. What if you actually valued, you don't just throw $100 bills out, do you? Of course not. Why? Because it's valuable. It's valuable. But you spray your seed everywhere. You cheapen yourself by doing that. Cheapen yourself. Find a woman who wants to build, and then you can invest. And I know many of you are in pain and cynical and hurt and said, I did that. I was with her for 20 years, and then she told me she didn't want to be in it. One of the wake-up calls for me was I was talking with a counselor who said to me, George, you're eventually going to have to find out the role that you played in the demise of your marriage. And I rejected that for years. I actually got pissed off at that guy. Pissed off. Nobody gets 100% blindsided. Very few do. And the first reaction to pain is usually blame. Mentally, psychologically, this is how people work. It's not my fault. And I need something external to fix it. When the answer is here. Your bedroom ends up having a revolving door on it. You end up taking the blonde hair out of your hairbrush so the girl with the brown hair doesn't see it. You search your apartment or house for panties hanging on the back of a doorknob so the next girl doesn't see it. The games, the manipulation, the fuckery that you go through is amazing. When you're going through pain, the contortions you go through. If any of this resonates with you, put your response down below. If you don't respond in a respectful way, you're probably in pain. I know a lot of you have a PhD in the red pill. You're experts, but who did you learn from? Other men who are cynical, hurt, and in pain? Good for you. Pat yourself on the back. This is why I like to say this is your home of sanity, clarity, and reason. If you haven't observed already, the ending song that I use is called Better Day. And it's magnificent. And I have a raven that I put at the end of the video. And I remember I put that up there when I was talking about Edgar Allan Poe, who was a tortured soul. But I enjoy The Raven by Poe. And there's no connection between it and anything else. So that's not a message going to anyone. But the song is called Better Day by Tina Von, V-O-N-N. And I discovered her, and I just love the song, and I love the soul in her voice. And I actually wrote her yesterday, and I want her to come on the channel. I want to interview her, and I want her to do an a cappella version of Better Day for you, give you hope. And with that, finish your coffee, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Daybreak Show, your home of sanity, clarity, and reason.
Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other. So far as the echo, where do we start? You can learn to discover a million stars. Here in the shadows, I know you're scared. Take my hand, together we'll make a stand. We've got to fight to find a way. Dare to fall to find out what to say. No more hate. Just admit that you're just afraid. Time to let go of all your fears and pride. Stand up beside me, don't you hide. We can build a better place. If we can just find a way, then we can live a better day. Rise from the ashes, from the anger, from the war. Let's come together, lift your spirit for the cause. We should be equal, should be living free. All together, one and all, let's build a dream. admit that you're just afraid. Let go of all your fears and pride. Stand up beside me, don't you hide. We can build a better place if we can just find a way. Then we can live a better day. 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 Rise from the ashes, from the anger, from the war. Let's come together, lift your spirit for the cause. We should be equal, should be living free. All together, one and all. All together, one and all. All together, one and all. Let's live a better day.